Now, let's talk about this man in Devon who had a run-in with the police after trying to pay for petrol with a £100 commemorative coin. Yes, you heard right. Basically filled up his car at a Tesco forecourt. This is Brett Chamberlain we're talking about. And he then tried to pay using a Trafalgar Square special edition coin minted in 2016, which is legal tender. Because something is legal tender, you don't apparently, as a business, have to accept it. And the cashier said, I can't take that, and turned Mr. Chamberlain away. He was asked, have you got any other way of paying? He didn't have another method or didn't want to. And the police were called and he was arrested. He was later released. He demanded an apology. He didn't get one. He sued and he then got £5,000 compensation from the police. It wasn't the first time Mr. Chamberlain tried to pay for petrol with commemorative coins. In 2014, he tried to use five £20 coins and got turned away. But he says on other occasions he has successfully paid with them. I wonder whether you use commemorative coins to pay for petrol. Let's talk to the man himself. I really want to hear from him. Brett, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jeremy.
So I got you down as a carpenter from Devon, and life is otherwise, normal, I'm sure, but you just are a guy who likes to pay for petrol with commemorative coins, it seems.
Yeah, that's right, Jeremy. The newspaper article isn't entirely accurate, as you would expect from The Sun, but it all started when I found coins metal detecting. They were just regular pound coins, but they were a bit corroded, 50p's and 20p's. And I filled up with fuel at Tesco and put them on the counter to pay for the fuel. And they refused to accept them and called the police. The police arrived and said, we'll arrest you unless you pay in some other way or fill out the no means to pay form. That's what kind of sparked my interest in the subject. As I looked into it and found that, legal tender means that if you owe someone some money, they're obliged to accept it, or they'll have no recourse in the law to pursue the matter. So it was highly wrong, I think, of the police to threaten to arrest me and try and force me to fill out the no means to pay form.
I see. So the business, because what we're told about legal tender is that a business can say no thank you. What they can't then do is try and punish you if you don't have any other way of paying.
We don't have to offer any other way of paying. If they refuse to accept legal tender for a debt, don't forget, it has to be a debt. It's not normal shopping in a supermarket or whatever. So in this case, you've taken the fuel. The fuel becomes yours as it is measured into the tank. And then you're obliged to pay the debt. Now, they're obliged to accept legal tender. They don't have to accept legal tender, but it negates the debt if they refuse to accept it.
Understood. Now, so just tell me more about this Trafalgar Square coin. I didn't realise we had £100 coins circulating among us.
Yes, they're not circulating, to be fair. There's three of them. There's Buckingham Palace, Trafalgar Square, and a Big Ben one. There's also a £50 coin and a £20 coin. They're all the information about them's on the Royal Mint website.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, it's a £100 coin. Does it say £100 on it?
Yes, it does. It's got the Queen's head on it. If you look up the legislation when the coin was legislated, it's by royal proclamation from the Queen, and the Queen says that the coin's a legal tender for payment throughout the United Kingdom. When the new £1 coin came out, it had exactly the same legislation, legal tender for payment throughout the United Kingdom. So my question is, define payment. What is payment?
Is there not?
Debt,
I do understand that, but I don't know who the cashier was at the Tesco, but I'm thinking they might have been a young person and they'd never seen this coin before. And I'm just thinking that they know that if they accept a £100 coin and it turns out not to be real, they're going to get such a rollicking. The boss is going to say, did you not know there is no such thing as a £100 coin? So I can see why they wouldn't take it, because they were worried that it would get them into trouble.
Okay, well, let me explain, Jeremy. So it goes a bit further back, the story does. So on another occasion, I took a £100 coin in and the police were called. Right. The police seized the coin to see if it was fake and sent it to the Royal Mint. The Royal Mint sent it back to the police and the police gave it back to me saying no further action. And in the meantime, I contacted Trading Standards, who asked me to write a letter of complaint to Tesco head office. So I did that and I sent them the letter to Tesco. And Tesco replied with a letter saying they do accept those coins. So I've got a letter that clearly says they do accept those coins.
Is it?
Right?
I understand, but there is in life the so-called easy life principle, which is that for an easy life, Brett, you could just turn up with a debit card, and then you wouldn't no one would get into trouble.
Okay, Jeremy. So, I mean, these are rights, right? Now, rights are legal principles for freedoms and entitlements.
Yeah.
Now, if the coins are legal tender, then we've got a right to be able to use them, and to be told by the country's biggest retailer that we're not accepting your rights, we're not accepting our Queen's money.
Sure.
We're not accepting, and they did actually say they would accept them. So when, I spent thousands of pounds on with these coins at Tiverton petrol station. Without problem. And then I went to Exeter petrol station and did the same, and that's where I got arrested. As a company, they'd already agreed to accept those coins, but they'd failed to instruct all the different branches. So they could have phoned head office to check to see whether or not they can accept those coins.
I know that having a legal right, is important, but it doesn't mean you should do it. So we've all got a legal right to break wind in cinemas, but it doesn't mean it's something we should be doing.
Okay, but if you're told that you can't do it, and if you do it, you're going to get arrested, and you know that you can break wind in the cinema, right, or spend these coins, then I think it's important that we test that we make sure that we do stand up for our rights before we have even more of our rights stripped away from us.
I understand. Okay, and it's given us a fascinating subject here. Thank you, Brett Chamberlain, carpenter from Devon, who's been paying for, or trying to pay, with commemorative coins.